got an introduction to another pissing match going on out here in California between Humo Corporation and Susie Placencia, a Latina influencer. It seems that back in the end of 2021, um, Humo Corporation was set up to brand a product, and Humo in Mexican means smoke. And they reached out and hired an influencer by the name of Susie Placencia to come in and develop the brand. Susie had a reputation, a big social media following. She had helped boycott a group called La Chingana, I think was the name of them, that were not, authentic Mexican. And she got a big reputation for influencing Latino and Mexican brands out here in California. So Humo brings her on board, and she starts developing this brand, and it by all measures looks to have gone pretty well. They were up to, I think, 1 million plus a month in revenues under this brand. And she brought in Catalyst as a group to take and put their brands on the shelves. Okay, so things seem to be going pretty well. And then, as too often happens, there's pissing matches start to develop inside these companies. And a pissing match developed between Susie Placencia and some other, it looks to be a female they brought in. I don't know all the psychology and dynamics of this, but it blew up in everybody's face. So they fired Susie, and they got rid of the company she had, the marketing company. Now, she sent messages to her contacts to let them know I'm no longer affiliated with the company. And then one of her friends organized a boycott of Humo, and this shit just went off the rails. Well, Humo filed a complaint against her and her company and her other partner, a guy last name is Lady. And I wrote a sort of a 3-paragraph cover of this, but it's deeper than what I could put into that. So the complaint alleges breach of contract, breach of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and then intentional interference with business relations. And what Susie Placencia and her company did, they responded with an answer and said, no, we deny all this shit. But then they filed an anti-SLAPP motion. California has these anti-SLAPP motions. And if the gravamen of your complaint is that someone is using their free speech to say things about you, you can file an anti-SLAPP motion, get the court to strike out everything that is protected free speech. It turns out that Ms. Placencia has a big social media presence, and she claims she went out of her way not to disparage these folks, not to say bad things about them, that she doesn't work for them anymore. Well, Catalyst notified Humo right away that if she ain't there, we ain't putting your shit on our shelves, okay? So the revenues tanked. And so Humo is claiming that she went out and tried to torpedo their business. And in the pleading stages, you accept what's in the pleadings as true. Okay? But if you're going to file motions to try to strike pleadings, you've got to come forth with evidence. Well, Susie brought forth evidence. I'm calling her Susie because that's what the people in these declarations call her. And they came forth and said, no, she didn't cause Catalyst to stop this. They did it on their own. She had nothing to do with this boycott. So there's evidence. These are what we call speaking motions. And it looks like Susie and Nightshift Digital can meet their burden of proof that she was following free speech on issues of public interest, and she has a social media presence. So Humo is going to have to reach a much higher standard of intent, because they're out there in the public arena, and these are these are issues of public interest. So where we are right now is we've got a hearing coming up at the end of October, and Susie and her group have asked the court to strike anything out of this complaint that has to do with her exercising her free speech rights. And the third cause of action, the intentional interference, is all based upon her free speech rights. So we're going to see how long this lasts, and I haven't seen anything come back from Humo. They're going to have to file declarations and affidavits and participate in what we call a speaking motion. We need evidence now to show that you have the proof that she acted with actual malice towards you, or for some reason she doesn't have the right to speak freely like this. And if they don't prevail, they're going to pay all of her attorney's fees. It's one of the poison pills they put in this. If let's say you sue somebody for defamation and they're exercising their free speech rights and they file an anti-SLAPP and it gets granted, you're going to pay all their attorney's fees. Okay. So we will see. This is going to roll out. And I don't want to get too much inside baseball here. But we've talked before about pleading stages where you accept the allegations. If you move into motion work, you have to bring forth evidence. We have only one side of the story here from Susie Plascencia. That seems pretty compelling. And we'll see if Humo can bring forth facts, admissible evidence and facts to counter what they're saying. And I'll keep you all advised as this go forward. But, we have a lot of people filing lawsuits and a lot of governments have decided that if you're trying to stop somebody from participating publicly, we're going to stop you and slap you around. So we call them anti-SLAPP statutes. That's what's going on here today. I'll throw it back at you. What do you all think about this?
Man, I did not know about this slap statute, Dale. That is very, very interesting. And so what you're saying is that Humo is going to have a much higher burden to prove that she was out trying to slander the company or trying to remove business from them. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, it has to do with the right to free speech. Okay. Now they had signed a contract, a services agreement, which restricted her from saying things while she's speaking on behalf of the company. You got to get permission. Okay. Well, once she's no longer working for them, then you can, talk about your issues publicly. It's free speech. Okay. And so that's one of the problems I think Humo has is that she wasn't speaking about half the company. You can't stop her from publicly speaking. And you have to go to the next level of showing actual malice when you're in a public figure, which this company seems to be, and someone's exercising free speech. These anti-SLAPP statutes are in many states now. California just happens to have one of them with a big stick. So we'll see.
And Dale, I have a question for you. And full disclosure, Susie Plascencia has been here on the news before as a correspondent, and it was during the time when she was employed by Humo. And I just have a question. If I was Susie and I called the different accounts that I had, and these are also people that I have relationships with and whatnot, and I call them and let them know that I'm no longer with the company, yada yada yada. And that's pretty much the gist of our conversation. Would Humo still have a right to say that was out trying to remove their business or whatnot? When in essence you could also say that Susie was just notifying them that she was no longer with the company.
Well, I think they have a tough row to hoe. Okay, and that's part of the argument Susie's making. Is that I just called my contacts up who had been following me at Humo, wherever the fuck you want to call it. That I let them know I'm no longer affiliated with them. And that's her story. She got declarations from one of these folks that, hey, she never asked us to take our brands off the shelves. She just notified, I don't work for them anymore, and we made the decision, fuck these guys. We're not going to put our stuff on the shelves because Susie's no longer there. She has a free speech right. And just remember, truth is an absolute defense in these situations. If you speak the truth and you have no contractual obligation to stay confidential about things, then you can speak your truth. And that's the problem they have. This is a free speech right. She's on social media. And as far as I can tell, they have no evidence that she actually said things that were false or disparaged this company. So that's the problem they got.
Oh boy. Oh man. Sounds like it's all gonna go in one big pile of Humo.
Well, it's the attorney's full right to work act,
This is interesting, and we're going to keep following along the story, Dale, as this developments and the new filings come in. You have any thoughts on this, Gretchen Tone? Or we got to keep it moving?
I love a good SLAPP lawsuit. They're good times. This was a big part of my college was learning a lot about SLAPP, and this was a huge thing that they were pushing back then. Strategic lawsuits against public participation is what SLAPP stands for. And another thing, libel is extremely difficult to actually prove. So good luck to these guys. It's not easy. I think Susie's got them where she wants them.
I think you're right about that too, Gretchen. I would agree with that, especially after Dale's evaluation overall.